top 5 most corrupt Filipinos, allegedly. It's 1986. The streets of Manila are a sea of yellow. Millions of Filipinos, hands clasped, voices raised, hearts pounding with hope. The people power revolution, an unstoppable tide that toppled a dictator accused of plundering billions, silencing critics, and ruling with an iron fist. The world thought corruption had finally met its end in the Philippines. After all, if a nation could rise up and throw out Ferdinand Marcos Sr. for alleged dictatorship and greed, then surely corruption would fade with him. But here's the sting. Almost 40 years later, corruption didn't just survive, it thrived. Today, some of the wealthiest, most powerful, and untouchable figures in Philippine politics carry with them one haunting similarity: a trail of corruption allegations. So we have to ask, what really happened? Did we cut out the disease, or just switch doctors while leaving the sickness untouched? Was Marcos Sr. truly the villain of the story, or just the most convenient one to blame? We didn't bury corruption. We polished it. We reinvented it. We let it walk right back into the halls of power, dressed in a suit and smiling for the cameras. And that brings us here, to a list you didn't know you needed, but won't be able to forget. The top 5 most allegedly corrupt Filipinos after the fall of Marcos Sr. Now, let's make something clear. This isn't a courtroom. We're not here to declare guilt or innocence. These are not convictions. What you're about to hear is built on official reports, whistleblower testimonies, Senate hearings, audit findings, and journalistic investigations. But whether truth or vendetta, the sheer volume of allegations can't be ignored. So, are these individuals truly corrupt? Maybe. Are some of these stories just the weapons of rivals? Possibly. And yet the bigger question remains: why do we as a nation keep letting corruption wear a new face and call it leadership?
Power, blood, billions. At number 5 on our list of the most allegedly corrupt figures in the Philippines, we find a name drenched in both fear and infamy: Andal Ampatuan Jr. To most, he's remembered as the central suspect in the Maguindano massacre, the darkest, deadliest election-related killing in Philippine history. A crime so brutal it shook the nation to its core. But the story doesn't end with bloodshed. Oh no, it only begins there. Think about this. A government audit once revealed that his clan billed the state $238 million for fuel deliveries that never even happened. Empty trucks, empty promises, but the money? Gone. And then came the avalanche of hidden riches: 597 bank accounts, 132 vehicles, 113 houses, 142 firearms. The Anti-Money Laundering Council peeled back the curtain, and what they found was nothing short of jaw-dropping. Later, ombudsman reports confirmed it: over 100 million pesos in undeclared wealth, 55 million tied to Andal Sr.'s estate, another 54.9 million traced straight to Andal Jr. himself. Fast forward to 2023, convicted on 21 counts of graft for overpriced fuel contracts, another piece of a puzzle soaked in corruption. So, what's the grand total allegedly tied to this name? Brace yourself. 11.2 billion pesos. Andal Ampatuan Jr., a name that will forever stand as a chilling symbol of power abused.
Number 4 on our list is a name that shook an entire nation: Janet Lim Napoles. She was the mastermind behind what would later be called the biggest corruption scandal in Philippine history, the PDAF scam. Picture this. Between 2007 and 2009, lawmakers' pork barrel funds, money meant for roads, schools, hospitals, vanished. Where did it go? Into fake NGOs, hand-picked and controlled by Napoles herself. Billions of pesos gone. The Commission on Audit, backed by whistleblower Ben-Hur Louis, later revealed the staggering figure: 2.157 billion pesos funneled straight into her empire. And what did politicians get in return? Kickbacks. Fat, irresistible cuts of the people's money. But this wasn't the first time Napoles' name was whispered in scandal. There was the fertilizer fund scam, 728 million pesos meant to feed farms, not pockets. The Malampaya fund scam, 900 million pesos in energy royalties, swallowed by ghost projects. Even as early as 2001, she had surfaced in a military procurement case involving millions in Kevlar helmets. Time and again, her shadow appeared wherever money bled from the nation. Courts would later catch up. Civil penalties, hundreds of millions in restitution. The Bong Revilla case, the graft, the bribery, the plunder. One by one, the convictions stacked. In 2015, life imprisonment. Then more sentences in 2021, 2023, until her cumulative time behind bars soared past 100 years. And the grand total of what she allegedly siphoned off? 13.85 billion pesos. Let that number sink in, because while the pesos are counted, the true cost, the schools unbuilt, the medicines unbought, the futures stolen, can never be measured.
Number 3. Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo. Her presidency wasn't just controversial, it was a storm. Scandal after scandal, one after another, all with her name at the center. Picture this: a 17 billion peso broadband deal with ZTE, tainted with whispers of kickbacks. A fertilizer fund worth 728 million pesos, allegedly siphoned off to ghost NGOs. And then the PCSO scandal, 66 million pesos in so-called intelligence funds gone missing under her watch. But it didn't stop there. The Malampaya Fund, 900 million pesos meant for energy projects, was dragged into the mud. Overspending during the 2007 ASEAN Summit turned heads, but not for the reasons we hoped. Money that could have built future, swallowed by greed. Take the Cebu International Convention Center. 1 billion pesos poured into what was supposed to be a proud landmark. Today, it sits abandoned, surrounded by poverty, a hollow carcass of ambition. Add in 830 million pesos for that same convention center. 500 million pesos for overpriced lampposts, symbols of progress turned into monuments of shame. And still, the list grows. The IMSA and North Rail deals, foreign contracts dripping with overpricing, bleeding the government dry of another 7.3 billion pesos. And then the infamous Hello Garci scandal, a wiretap suggesting election fraud in 2004, shaking the very foundation of her presidency and almost ending it. In 2011, Arroyo was arrested for the PCSO case. 5 years later, in 2016, she walked free, acquitted by the Supreme Court. But the damage, the scars, they remain. Nearly 30 billion pesos tied to her name.
Imagine this. A man walks through Davao, not as a leader, not as a hero, but as a shadow cloaked in power. His name? Paulo Duterte, the eldest son of Rodrigo Duterte, the president who built his legacy on a bloody war against drugs. Yet, the son story tells a darker tale, one that raises the question, what happens when the hunter is accused of protecting the hunted? Pulong's name drips with controversy. In Mindanao and Cebu, his father is remembered with reverence. But in Davao, Pulong is whispered about with fear. Fear born from scandal. Fear born from power unchecked. Back in 2017, all eyes turned toward him. A jaw-dropping $6.4 billion drug smuggling scandal. Customs officials claimed a group The infamous Davao Group, with Pulong at the helm, slipped shipments through ports, pocketing millions in grease money. That was just the beginning. Allegations of smuggled luxury cars, bribes at Davao ports, protection for suspicious imports. One accusation after another, each painting the image of a man with one foot in the underworld. And it didn't stop there. His name echoed in the halls of another controversy, $65 billion worth of pandemic contracts. Reports linked him to connections that opened doors to massive deals tainted by ghost projects, shady arrangements, and unexplained millions. $27 million in wealth with no clear source. The numbers don't lie. The questions pile higher. Then came the whispers of violence. A CCTV clip, a bar in Davao. Pulong allegedly beating a pimp who failed to provide women for him and his guests. This wasn't a man of the people. $71.5 billion. That's the staggering figure tied to him. Yet here's the twist. Despite the scandals, despite the smoke, there's never been a fire in court. No indictment. Some cases dismissed, others still dragging an investigation. Many never saw the light of trial at all. And at the heart of these accusations, one familiar name, Antonio Trillanes, the rebel soldier who once tried to topple a sitting president, a man who thrives on outrage and rebellion, building his brand on being the perpetual challenger. So here we stand, caught between two figures, one accused of drowning in corruption, the other accused of fueling allegations with vendetta. The question lingers. Is Pulong a predator shielded by power, or a target of political theater? What's certain is this: the Philippines needs truth-tellers. We need watchdogs unchained from bias.
Corruption. It's the shadow that has haunted Philippine politics for decades. But what if I told you that right now, we may be staring at one of the biggest scandals in our nation's history? Let's dive in. At the very top of the list of the allegedly most corrupt Filipinos stands one powerful name, what could be the most brazen budget heist ever recorded. It's 2025. A single accusation sends shockwaves through the political arena. 241 billion pesos mysteriously inserted into the national budget. How? Through falsified entries, according to a complaint filed with the Office of the Ombudsman. 12 counts of graft, 12 counts of falsification, and a trail of money allegedly funneled to favored contractors. But here's where the story twists into something darker. Of that mountain of funds, 32 billion pesos was allegedly weaponized, not for the people, but against a rival. The charge? That Romualdez used it to pressure lawmakers into backing an impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte. Each congressman allegedly promised a package deal, 25 million in ayuda, 25 million in AICS funds, and a staggering 100 million in infrastructure allocations. The result? 215 lawmakers signed. And this wasn't his first brush with controversy. Cast your mind back to 2022. Romualdez was linked to a 3 billion peso bribery attempt tied to the Okada Manila casino dispute. As of mid-2025, no conviction has landed, no verdict, just a thickening cloud of allegations that now total an eye-popping 245.8 billion pesos. Now, step back and look at the bigger picture. Some of the names on this most corrupt list have been convicted. Others are still walking free, investigations dragging like ghosts through endless halls of bureaucracy. And many continue to strut in power, untouchable, unshaken, undefeated. And here's the gut punch. If even a fraction of these allegations are true, not a single centavo has been returned to the Filipino people. The convicted don't serve their full sentences, no repayments, no accountability, nothing. Ironically, the only time the Philippine government managed to recover billions in stolen wealth was from Ferdinand Marcos Sr. Over 174 billion pesos
clawed back from his estate, more than from any other official ever accused. So you have to ask yourself, was Marcos Sr. truly the root of corruption, or simply the most convenient target? Because clearly, corruption didn't die when he fell. It just evolved, sharper, slicker, more hidden behind laws, titles, and polished PR. And worst of all, it's no longer confined to presidents and senators. Today, corruption infects every level: governors, congressmen, mayors, councilors, even barangay captains. It's everywhere. It's systemic. It's endemic. So here's the burning question. How do we stop it? Or at the very least, how do we weaken it? The floor is yours. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let your voice be heard. And if this opened your eyes, hit like, subscribe, and share this video. Because the more people know, the harder it becomes for corruption to hide.